Hello, folks, and welcome to the walkthrough of the program and progress report for the NPAL 2019 Mentoring Grant. So this is a walkthrough of the very final progress report that you will complete for the mentoring grant. So as I get started, I just want to remind folks that if you recall, the program does run through March 1st of 2020. We got a little bit of a late start this particular grant year due to things such as the government shutdown and stuff like that. So the program does run until March 1st, 2020, and is as indicated in your letter of award. You should be running programming to that date. So this particular report that you're going to be completing captures that data for that final part, essentially those final 2 months, to make sure that we have a complete picture of all of your program work over the course of this grant year. All right, so with that, I'm just going to jump right into things and walk through each question in this report. These first few, pretty straightforward, making sure that you enter your email address and your name, and then of course the sub-grant name, so essentially which organization you're filling out this report on behalf of. It's really important that you enter this stuff correctly, especially the email address portion, since we may be reaching back out to you if we have any questions about your specific report. Great. So moving on, we go into youth served. So checking all of the boxes of the youth that you do serve. So anyone who fits into any of these categories. If none apply, again, select that bottom box that says youth population not directly served. And then continuing down to the justice portion of that. So any youth that you serve that fall into any of these categories, the gender breakdown of the youth that you serve, the geographic breakdown, and then some other categories as well. All right, so now we get into the actual numbers of youth that you've served in your program. So question 1A here, number of mentees in your program on December 31st of 2019 and who were carried over into the January 1st to March 1st, 2020 reporting period. So making sure you pay close attention to those dates. Same thing or similar thing for 1B, number of new mentees added between January 1st, 2020 and March 1st of 2020. I will say, please take special note of the total of 1A plus 1B, as these two numbers will need to align with some of the additional responses that you give throughout the rest of this report. Question 2 is pretty straightforward, so it's the number of mentees participating between January 1st, 2020 and March 1st, 2020 who have one or more parents actively serving in the military. Then we go into questions 3 through 5, which focus on the youth survey. Of course, you can see the survey is linked here. It should also have been sent to you. But I just want you folks to please take note that you should report the number of youth that have, for question 3 here, that have an increased perception of social support per the survey as measured when you collected this information back in December of 2019, plus any additional youth that you served in 2020, as they should take the survey as well. And that same kind of thing applies for question 4 and 5 for specifically measuring the question included on the survey. Question 4 about an improved respect for law enforcement. So again, making sure that you're taking the data that you collected back in December 2019, plus any additional youth that you may have served beyond that point who should also have taken the survey. And then again, same thing for question 5 that references specifically question 5 on the survey. about understanding the negative effects of drug use and gang involvement, making sure that you're utilizing the data that you collected via surveys in December of 2019, with the addition of any more surveys that you collected for youth served after January 1st, 2020 up until March 1st of 2020. All right, and questions 6 through 9 have to do with things such as offenses for the youth that you've served. Be sure to note that this only applies to the youth served in this period, so January 1st of 2020 through March 1st of 2020. So 6 being the number of mentees who had an arrest or delinquent offense between those dates, 7 being the number of mentees who were recommitted to a juvenile facility between March 1st, 2020 and between January 1st, 2020 and March 1st, 2020. 8 being the number of mentees who were sentenced to adult prison between those dates, and 9 being the number of mentees who received some other different sentence not included in those 6, 7, or 8 questions between January 1st, 2020 and March 1st of 2020. Moving on to questions 10A and 10B. This is the number of mentees participating in the NPAL mentoring program that were participating past January 1st of 2020 and who have completed, or in question 10B have not completed, 32 hours of mentoring in the program. So again, this is the number of youth who over the course of the entire program completed or did not complete 32 hours of mentoring, and also who did participate between January 1st, 2020 and March 1st, 2020. For mostly everyone, that should be all of your youth, since the program continues until March 1st of 2020. So other thing to note with 10A and 10B, the total of 10A plus 10B should match up with whatever you reported up here on question 1A and 1B. So whatever your total was for 1A and 1B, that should be in alignment with what you respond here for 10A and 10B. For 11A and 11B, this is the youth served between January 1st and March 1st of 2020 who either did or did not complete at least 8 months in the program. Again, these two numbers totaled up need to equal the same as question 1A and 1B combined. So those two should be in alignment as well, just as they were for 10A and 10B. Again, this is the total number of mentees that participated at some point during the new year, so between January 1st, 2020 and March 1st, 2020. Again, for almost every single program, that should be everyone, since the program does continue past the calendar year up until March 1st of 2020. And so how many of those youth did reach that 8-month mark and how many did not? 12A and 12B talk about the number of mentees who did or did not participate in NPAL mentoring sessions for at least 4 hours per month on average while they were enrolled in the program between January 1st, 2020 and March 1st, 2020. So once again, these two numbers should be in alignment with whatever you reported for question 1A and 1B on this report. All right, so these next set of questions have to do with victimization. And so as many of you know, these are new data points that are being collected by OJJDP starting in this grant year. This is questions 13 through 20. So starting with 13, this is the number of mentees who experienced violent victimization between January 1st, 2020 and March 1st of 2020. 14 is the number of mentees who experienced nonviolent victimization between January 1st, 2020 and March 1st, 2020. 15 is the number of mentees who identified as a sex trafficking victim between January 1st, 2020 and March 1st, 2020. I should note that this is the number of mentees that were carried over from the previous reporting period, so prior to January 1st. 16 is the number of new mentees who identified as a sex trafficking victim between those dates. 17 is the number of mentees who identified as a labor trafficking victim between those dates. And again, 18 is the new mentees who identified as a labor trafficking victim between January 1st, 2020 and March 1st, 2020. Number 19 is the number of mentees who identified as both labor and sex trafficking victim between those dates, and 20 being the new mentees who identified as both a labor and sex trafficking victim between those dates. So starting with questions 21A and 21B, we're now focusing on the mentors that were participating in your program. So 21A, this is the number of mentors carried over from 2019 and who continued to participate between January 1st and March 1st of 2020. 21B is from that number, the total number of mentors who've undergone training. I should note here, it is required that all your mentors undergo training. So for pretty much everyone, this should be the same as 21A, since, again, all of your mentors should be undergoing some kind of training. 21C, this is, of course, the new mentors that you may have recruited between January 1st and March 1st of 2020. And then 21D, from that question, so from 21C, the number of mentors who've successfully completed training. Again, this should be all of them, as you should be training all of your mentors. Question 22 is the total number of trained program mentors demonstrating an increased knowledge in the program. For most of your programs, most of your mentoring programs, this will be all of your mentors, as most folks continue to learn things about the program and are able to demonstrate an increased knowledge of that program. I'll also note here that the answer for 22 cannot exceed the total of question 21A and 21C put together. So it can't be more than what you responded for 21A plus 21C, as that would be the total number of mentors that you both carried over and recruited for the new period. Question 23 is the number of mentors who participated during the period of January 1st through March 1st of 2020, but left before the end of the program. Essentially, any number of the mentors who left the program prematurely. So they participated in some way between January 1st and March 1st of 2020, but left before the end of the actual program. And the last question here about mentors is 24, and that's have all your mentors completed a criminal background check. Again, this is a program requirement, so it should be yes. Next, we'll go into the qualitative questions for your program. What I'll note for these is please be as detailed as possible, and also make sure that you're using complete sentences and writing in such a way that someone who might not be familiar with your program is able to understand all of your responses. So starting with 25, sharing some accomplishments from the reporting period, again, between January 1st, 2020 and March 1st, 2020. You can include details about your recruitment, your pre and post survey completion, mentor and mentee ratios that exceed 7 to 1, other program highlights, etc., etc. Number 26, sharing some details about family engagement or program closure activities during the reporting period. So again, January 1st, 2020 to March 1st, 2020. Please include the dates implemented, any specific successes or challenges. 27, describing any challenges you faced between January 1st, 2020 and March 1st, 2020, and how First Pick or National PAL can provide assistance on some of those things in the future. This next question is whether or not you completed the program as outlined in your letter of award. For most of you folks, it should be yes. If not, you can certainly reach out to either First Pick or National PAL. And then, of course, this sort of follow-up question, if it was no, please explain exactly why or what elements of the LOA you did not complete. Next question is, based on your knowledge of youth mentoring and after-school programming, are there any innovative program accomplishments that you'd like to share with National PAL or First Pick Inc.? And then this last part here is really important. Please make sure that you email all of your attendance sheets from January 1st, 2020 through March 1st, 2020 to this email address here, so npalmentoringfinance@gmail.com. And please make sure to include your subgrant name and tracking sheet in the subject line. For example, First Pick PAL 2019 mentoring tracking sheets. Please make sure that you do that. Please do it right now so that you don't forget. Then you will simply check this box here to indicate that you did indeed do that. And then you can hit the submit button here. Should note that a copy of your responses will be emailed to that email address that you provided back here at the top and on this first question here. So make sure that this email address is correct because you will get a copy of your responses. Again, if there's any questions that National PAL or First Pick has about your responses to this final report, we will be reaching out. So please be sure that you're answering everything thoroughly and accurately. And thank you everyone for completing the program and submitting all the reports.